Ambassador Keleth of the Vrexian Concordate stood before the Galactic Council, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the ambient light of 1,000 worlds. The amphitheater stretched endlessly, filled with representatives from species that had conquered stars while humanity still painted on cave walls. The humans warn us of what they call the silence, Keleth announced, his voice dripping with contempt. They claim something stalks the void between galaxies. They urge us to prepare defenses, to unite our fleets. He paused for effect. I propose we ignore this. Advice from children. Laughter rippled through the assembly. The humans had joined the galactic community mere 2 centuries ago, infants by any measure. Their technology was derivative, their ships clumsy, their understanding of quantum mechanics primitive. They had contributed nothing to galactic civilization except quaint warnings and paranoid speculation. Counselor Thrace, a being of pure energy contained within a magnetic field, pulsed in agreement. The humans see threats everywhere. It is their nature. They evolved as prey animals on a death world, and their psychology never adapted to civilization. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the human delegation booth, her jaw clenched. She had spent 3 years compiling the evidence. Unexplained gaps in deep space communications, the sudden silence of 12 colony worlds on the galactic rim, radiation signatures that matched nothing in known physics. Her hands trembled as she gripped the podium. With respect, counselors, she began, her translator rendering her words into 1,000 languages simultaneously. We have data. We have patterns. Civilizations don't just vanish without. They expand inward, interrupted Keleth. It is the natural progression. Species grow tired of the frontier and consolidate. The humans wouldn't understand this. You're still in your expansionist phase, spreading like bacteria across every habitable rock you find. More laughter. Chen felt her face flush but held her ground. We're trying to help you. Our analysis suggests your analysis. Thrace pulsed with what his species used as a dismissive gesture. Humans excel at seeing ghosts in the dark. It's why you invented so many gods before you discovered science. This council has stood for 40,000 years. We have weathered true crises. We do not need lessons in threat assessment from a species that nearly destroyed itself with fossil fuels. The vote wasn't even close. The council rejected humanity's proposal for a unified defense network, refused to allocate resources for deep space monitoring stations, and formally censured Earth for spreading panic and misinformation. Chen left the chamber in silence, her boots echoing on marble floors older than human civilization. She filed her report, marked it urgent, and sent it through channels she knew would be ignored. 3 months later, the Vrexian home system went dark. Not gradually, not with warning. One moment, Keleth was transmitting his daily report to the council. The next, static, 47 billion Vrexians, gone in the time it took light to cross their solar system. The council convened an emergency session. Thrace advocated caution, an equipment malfunction, perhaps a stellar phenomenon. We should not. The Thalesian collective's 3 worlds fell silent mid-sentence. 17 billion dead. Now the council listened to Chen. She stood in the same booth before the same representatives, but the chamber was no longer filled with laughter. Fear had a smell, she realized. Even across species barriers, terror tasted the same. We've been watching the pattern, she said, her voice steady despite everything. It moves through the galactic arm like a wave, consuming everything in its path. Based on current trajectory, it will reach council space in 8 days. What is it? Keleth whispered, his earlier arrogance shattered. He had lost his entire species except for the few thousand in off-world colonies. We don't know, Chen admitted. Our deep space probes show nothing. It's like reality itself is being erased, but we know how to fight it. How? Thrace pulsed weakly. Your species has been spacefaring for 2 centuries. We've explored the cosmos for millennia. What could you possibly— We remember, Chen interrupted. We remember what it's like to be prey. We remember that the universe doesn't care about your technology or your civilization, or how long you've existed. We remember that sometimes the only answer to an existential threat is to fight like your survival depends on it. Because it does. She pulled up a holographic display. Every human colony is already mobilized. We've converted our entire industrial capacity to weapons production. We've recalled every ship, every soldier, every scientist. We're building a defensive line along the Perseus Arm, and we're begging you to join us. The council chamber erupted in argument. Some species advocated evacuation to other galaxies. Others proposed negotiations, first contact protocols. A few simply refused to believe the threat was real, even as worlds fell silent one after another. But some listened. The Tyrellian Unity committed their fleets. The Shen Collective provided their manufacturing capacity. The Korval, who had barely spoken to humans before, sent their entire warrior caste. When the silence arrived at the Perseus arm, it met something it hadn't encountered in its consumption of 17 galaxies: resistance. The battle lasted 6 months. Human ships, built with fusion reactors held together with determination and desperation, threw themselves into the void. Alien vessels retrofitted with weapon systems designed by a species that had spent 10,000 years perfecting ways to kill each other, opened fire on an enemy they couldn't see. They lost billions. Entire fleets were erased. Planets were sacrificed as buffers. But humanity had learned something during their short, violent history on Earth. Sometimes you don't win by being stronger. You win by being too stubborn to die. The silence broke. Or perhaps it simply moved on to easier prey. The galaxy would debate that question for millennia. But when the battle ended, when the survivors took stock of what remained, one thing was clear. The children had saved them all. Ambassador Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the bridge of the UHNS Defiant, watching as the combined fleet held formation. Keleth's voice came through on a private channel. "We should have listened," he said quietly. Chen thought about all the voices that had gone silent, all the warnings ignored, all the arrogance that had cost trillions of lives. "Yes," she replied. "You should have. But maybe now you'll remember. In this universe, the only thing more dangerous than the monsters in the dark is forgetting they exist." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth had taught it in fire.